that again.
Welcome to the Say Yes Movement podcast with Heather and John. Hey, everybody. We're helping you with your professional and personal growth, helping you say yes to all the scary stuff. Heather, Celebration Friday. What are we celebrating today?
Oh, we are celebrating that this is our last recording for the year. This is the 126th episode, which is
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Wow.
And so I'm celebrating us and celebrating dedication and resilience and getting through technical difficulties like we just had 5 seconds ago, and just going live and just being vulnerable. And there's just, I mean, I have lots to celebrate, but just we've done so much reflection in the last little bit. I am full of gratitude for so many reasons. What about yourself, John?
Yeah. No, listen, today is really around celebrating the people who support us, right?
Mm,
I know we had this conversation yesterday, but celebrating our partners, our spouses, the people that you don't see on the show, but the people that are constantly here in the background supporting us and doing what we do. And I celebrate them and, just the love and support that they give us every week, right? And a lot of you don't see it, but in the background we have, we got Diane, we got Patrick, who are there just constantly, I want to say, cheering us on and really pushing us forward and getting us to places that we didn't even know that we could go. And without them, I don't think we could be here, because they're the pillars in terms of our support system. So a big celebration for them, and for everything that they do for us. I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge them.
I think that's a really important thing, that, nobody does the things that they do alone. We need
Mm.
to have community. We need to have support. We need to have someone that, sort of calls us on our BS and says, is that really what you want to do? Or is that, and not in a negative way, in a loving way, or, looks at us and sees the version of us that we can't see in ourselves,
Mm.
and John, we do that for each other, but our spouses have another angle. And you put all of that together, and everyone around you is trying to build you up. And when you accept that help, when you accept that as the support system, everything is possible. And that's a challenge for me. I like to be independent, and I'll tell you, independent is a lonely place, and there's nothing that you want to achieve alone, because then you're alone when you get to the results. So it's just not the way to go. And Roger, season's greetings to you as well. And look, we're talking about community and the people that lift us up. And of course, Roger is right there with us, and his energy, I can feel it through the airwaves for sure.
Yeah, no, listen, Roger, kind of speaking to Roger for a moment, he posted a photo with him and his mom, who came down to celebrate the holidays with him. And, just to see that inspires me, right? Like, just,
Mm,
when we talk about our social platforms and who we are and what we do, there's bits and pieces of us that we don't necessarily share. And, what I do love is when you put that part of yourself that you wouldn't normally put out there. And Roger, I just wanted
mhm.
to say thank you for that, for sharing that moment. That the beautiful picture of you and your mom celebrating, and you just acknowledging and being there, right? Like, just, there's something to be said about just being present in the moment and celebrating what you have, right? So I thought that was incredibly special. And Roger, listen, for your support this year as well. It's been really amazing.
You
Wow.
bring up
Wow.
a good point. And Roger, I saw that picture too. And can you please tell your mom she looks like your sister? Like, really, honestly, she's a gorgeous woman. Her energy, it is not by accident that you are who you are, if that's the woman behind you. But, what is true leadership? True leadership is sharing your whole self, not putting
Mhm.
barriers up and saying, well, this is the platform for just business. I'm only going to put business ideas here. And, then I'm going to go to another platform for that. In fact, when, as leaders, if you have teams, tell your stories, tell your challenging stories, tell your stories of when you were looking for that first promotion, tell the stories about how you grew up, and some of the challenges that you had, some of your favorite food. And people love to
Mhm.
hear those stories, because each of us are unique individuals, and the more connection we can make between the things that are the similar or very similar, the more we will feel connected with each other. So storytelling is so important. Even the icky bits, even the parts that are
Mm.
like, I don't know if I want to share that. I tell you, somebody else is going through what you've already been through, and you can be a beacon of light for them. So even those
Mm.
icky bits.
Yeah, no, I love it. I just wanted to take a moment to also acknowledge Felicia, who's been here. I feel like, Felicia, you've been here on almost every single episode. So,
Yes, thank you.
super fan. We love that you're here with us. We love the support. Listen, you even join us on our workshops, our master classes. You've been here for us all year, and I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge you too, because your support, unwavering, like it's just there. So, wow. Today I'm feeling incredibly grateful, incredibly blessed in terms of, what we've been able to do over this last year. It's just been, we get to do this, right? Like I feel there's something special about being able to do what we want to do. Like we live in a world, or we live in a country where we have that freedom to do this. And, just so grateful for that, right? Like there's nobody limiting us in terms of what we can do. The only limit is ourselves, right? So yeah, I thought it was so amazing, so amazing. And Roger even said, stories are the gateway to your soul and the pathway to your audience's heart. Yes, yes, it is, Roger. 100%. There's something to be said about taking that vulnerable story, Heather, that you just spoke about, and sharing it with the world. As you building a pathway to your audience's heart, it's also freeing you, right? Like you're letting go, as my good friend Sultan would say, you're letting go of the shackles, right? And you're moving forward in a really powerful way. So when you get out there and you can share those stories, that those moments of vulnerability, even as a leader, just to show people that you're human, I think it's incredibly important to be vulnerable. So what, I'm not I do have, there are things that show up for me that I need to acknowledge, and I'm here because of those moments, right? It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength, right? And that's something that what's her name now, the author that talks about shame, and she talks about all this stuff. It'll come back to me in a second, but when we put that out there, we release ourselves.
Are you talking about Brene Brown?
Yeah, Brene Brown. That's it. Sorry. Thank you. She talks about that being a strength, right? That's your superpower, when you can let go of, it's almost like letting go of your ego and just being the person that you need to be in this world. And that frees you. And I got to see that. We got to see that even with, people who've spoken on our stage, and, having the opportunity to share that, people who've been on our show sharing their say yes story with the world. That to me is incredibly inspiring. Like, wow.
Well, John, you, as we've been doing the reflection process, you actually sent me a photo of one of our very first podcasts. And, anyone can do this exercise that I'm going to explain right now, which is just take a picture of you from the past and just open it up, and, just look at that person, look at them in their eyes, and say thank you to that version of you, because that version of you is the version that made some decisions that got you to where you are today. The version that's in front of you right now hasn't made all of the decisions, doesn't know the how yet, is going to make some really good decisions, but your person of your past is actually the one that put the hard work in. And I share my own personal health transformation pictures, but I can look at any photo at any time and know that even though it might not be a dramatic physical change, I can see the changes that are there. And, our first podcast picture was, we didn't think anybody would watch it. So I have my hair in a ponytail, and I'm not even sure I have makeup on, and none of that matters. But I was a different weight. I can tell that. And we didn't have a flow yet. So those two individuals of our past decided to do something that we'd never done before. We decided to say yes. And now we're at 126 episodes of this podcast. And I share this story because everyone can go into your photos, pick a picture from you a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and really celebrate that version of you that did the things that have gotten you to where you are today. Because that's the proof that you're going to get to the next level as well.
Yeah. Listen, we're always redefining and rebuilding ourselves the way we want, right? Like, and that's what I've loved through this process is, when I went back, and that was, when we first started doing this, that was pre Ironman, right? Like it was pretty much pre everything in terms of what we were doing in 2023 is at the beginning or midway through sorry 20 at the end of 2021 is really at the end of 2022 is when we really started, right?
Yeah.
And you're right, that person had a vision in terms of what it is they wanted to do, and to finally be on the other side of that is like, wow, we did that, right? Like, and Roger said it, we've had some great success with the event. We've had some great success with the show. We've gotten to the other side of it, but that, like you said, that was there was that version of us that wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
And that version, and I want to be honest, there was that version of us that was a little scared. There was a version of us that's like, should we take the risk? Is it worth the risk to get there? And now that we're here, yes, of course. Yes, it was totally worth it. But in the moment, there were moments like, should we even continue on? Like, do we continue to do this, right? Like, do we continue to build up the show? Do we continue to keep going live? Like, there were so many things that could have stopped us from moving forward, but we're like, well, why not? Like,
Well,
let's just
and
keep
and
going.
here I'm going to put it out there, John. I know that's still, just us thinking about it, but we are going to write a book together. We're going to write the Say Yes Movement book. And you're
When
laughing
we write a book
because,
together,
well, we
when?
are writing a book
Yeah.
together. It's being done as we speak right now because it's in our heads, and I'm putting it out in the universe to hold us accountable. But I have to tell you, I've never written a book. It scares the bejeebus out of me. So, that's the next level of success. That's the next level. And there's going to be a moment where I'm going to go back and listen to this podcast. I'm going to say, I'm really thankful that the two of those people, those versions of us, made some decisions that scared them and said yes to it. So
Yeah.
there's some really amazing things that I'm looking forward to 2024. But of course, you cannot go into the future without going into the past and celebrating your successes, making sure that you have all of the proof that you are good enough. Don't let those automatic negative thoughts get into your brain, into your head. And, also don't let the craziness of this season take control of your regular routine and get into that slump, because you want to see all the people, you want to be connected with people, but you also want to make sure that you stay connected with yourself. And Felicia, oh my God, I love you so much. Thank you for the inspiration, the encouragement through the year. And thank you for being our celebration people with us. And yes, the book, and we will get you a signed copy, Felicia. We promise you that. So
yes, you get the first copy, Felicia, for sure. Yeah, listen, and then thank you, Shelly. I love that you're doing the same. It scares me so much. Yeah, no, listen, the book is cool. I'm excited. As we're going, because now we're in the planning process of putting it together. But as we're doing this, it's like, like who are we sharing this with, right? Who are we getting this message out to? And that process, that's been fun, right? Like, so here's what I want to, as we're going into this conversation, we're taking risks, right? And we talked about this on Wednesday, really celebrating the risks that you're taking, regardless of the outcome. And when you do that, right, like you change your perspective in terms of what's possible for you.
yes.
And what I'm realizing more and more is, the good stuff sits in the risky stuff, right? Like the riskier the thing you do, and we all have different tolerances for risks, right? But when you take risky things, right? Like when you take that risk, you take that step, you do that uncomfortable thing, it takes you to a whole new level that you didn't even know existed. Like it just changes you in such a powerful way, right? So it's oh man, like I can't. I'm excited for 2024.
Well,
Like,
and let's just define risk, right? Risk is doing something that is outside of your comfort zone. It can be, labeled as courageous. It can be labeled as risky. It can be rated as, nudging you out of that comfort zone. All of those things are what we're talking about. But people only celebrate when it's at the finish line. And we should actually be celebrating all the milestones along the way. And that's why we do this weekly Friday celebration. It's so important to just take a moment, sit down and think about, okay, what am I celebrating this week? And, we want to hear from you. So for those of you that are, we love the comments and tell us what you're celebrating. But Shelly, you're totally right. No attachments to the outcome. The outcome is how you want to feel. The outcome is how you want to impact others. And then don't worry about the how, because the universe will help you find all
Yeah.
kinds of different ways. And there's always another way. So if you hit a roadblock, that's okay. You just, that's the time to ask for help, to tell people, hey, I'm at a roadblock, or I don't know what the next step should be. What would you do if you were me? And those questions are such powerful questions
Yeah.
to help people know how they can be of service to you, which is also really, really important.
Yeah, actually, Heather, you touched on something really important, and I know we talked about this earlier this week, but I want to reinforce this point, because one of the greatest lessons I've learned throughout 2023 was, we took our vision of what we wanted to do and we just shared it with the world, right? And there's conflicting thoughts around, do you keep a goal to yourself? Do you share it? I'm like, go out and share it publicly, because what showed up for us when we did that is the support that we didn't even know existed, right? Like in January, we're like, what's the vision for the show and what are we going to do? We're like, yeah, let's go impact 1 million people, right? Like that's, and that's the vision that we've been holding on to for the last 12 months throughout this whole year, is really impacting 1 million people. How do we impact 1 million people? And we found some pretty creative ways to do that. We even got into the education system to be able to go out and impact, 1 million people as, part of our million. And, what's been showing up, and Shelley, no attachment to outcome, but holding that vision has always been a guiding light for us, right? Knowing where we want to go by just holding on to it. It's like, okay, we want to impact 1 million people. How are we going to dig? How are we going to get there? It doesn't matter, because we're going to get there, because what'll show up for us is that support. And people out of like nowhere have come out and say, well, what can we do? How can we help you? How can we promote this? And just to give you an example of that, I know Felicia's been a great support this year with sharing our workshops, our different master classes with her community. Right. And that's how we're impacting and multiplying our message across. Right. So, when you least expect it, when you put it out there, when you really, really pull it out there, and, and you got to feel it from here, right? Like you got to feel it from your soul, and your soul's like, this is my vision. This is what we want to do. We want to positively impact 1 million people this year. People will come out and support you as you go through that.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me was just like, wow, right? That was mind blowing for me.
Well, we're going to have to come up with our goal for 2024. It's going to be, we probably have to do the 1 million people again. And maybe we even make it bigger. Why not do something that scares us? That's what we teach people. But we also are looking at, the book is another way to have the message go out. But we are committed to always changing things up, to always growth. And every 10 episodes, you might not notice it, but there's a micro change in what we do just to test the waters out. But we're making a pretty big change, John, for the next year. And we are going to a live show on Fridays only. And anything extra will be a special event kind of thing. So Felicia, you're going to have to change your schedule and just join us on Fridays. And for anyone else listening out there, believe me, it will be worth your time on Fridays.
Yeah.
But we want to just create some more space for the things that we want to do to make that bigger impact, including writing the book. So sometimes you have to say yes to one thing and you have to say no to something else so that you can create that space. And so we teach that as a lesson, and we're going to live it as a lesson as well. So in the new year, our first back to recording will be on January 12th. And then it'll be every Friday. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know Felicia's already saying, oh no. Yes, we're going to be back only on Fridays. But I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge a celebration that Shelley put. Celebrating that she doesn't need to buy gifts any longer. She's celebrating doubling down on family time and traditions. And actually, Shelley, we got a whole episode where we talk about traditions. Like I can't remember what episode number it was, but it's a great episode where we talk about family time and all the things that go along with that, and continuing those little traditions that we've picked up all the way along the way. So yeah, no, that's beautiful. I love that you're celebrating that. And Roger, we already know, celebrating time with your mom. But yeah, Heather, just kind of going back to what you talked about, it's so if you can imagine just the Fridays that we're gonna have going into the new year, it's like, whew, we're gonna have a week's worth of like stuff that we want to bring in. And I'm super excited that we're going to be able to do that and continue with the celebrations, continue with the risk taking, continue with big. What are you going to do on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 a.m.? 100%. Felicia, what are we going to do? I don't know. What am I going to do on, like, I'm going to, for me, this is a sad moment too. I'm like, what am I going to do on Monday? I think I'm going to come up with something else, Felicia, but Heather and I will be just live on Friday. So something will come up. I promise. We'll make something special. We'll bring something special to the world. But yeah, no, I'm already like,
I know. We've been talking, and just to share with everyone behind the scenes, making these tough decisions, there's grief that goes with it. So you're hearing John sort of stutter because like we're both having immense grief over something that's really working. Why would we change it? And sometimes that's what you have to make the decision is if you really want to grow, you have to change something, even if it's just working okay. And so that's what we're going to do. And we're actually going to get some help too, so that we can get our message out to more people. So that's part of that process that we're working through right now. And of course, when we work through a process, what do? We teach the process right after. So look forward to us sharing our bumps in the road and also teaching it as a process. But we are at time, John. This is our last one for the season. Here's the call to action. And Shelley, you have inspired our call to action today. It is time to spend time with family. So, in all the hustle and bustle, if you can take a moment and just zoom out, just float up and just look down on everything that is happening around you, the people that are celebrating with you, the people that are no longer with you, but are there in spirit, and see and feel all of their energy for just a moment, and just feel that in your heart. And that's what the holiday season's all about. It's about gathering, it's about love, and it's about feeling that emotion. Put some Christmas carols on, dance your heart out, have fun, and no New Year's resolutions. No New Year's resolutions, just love. And we'll talk about in the new year why no New Year's resolutions, why the failure points are there. We have a beautiful workshop that we love to do in the new year, and we'll figure out which Friday we're doing that on. So with that, John.
Yeah, no, thank you, Heather. And listen, thank you everybody for this support this year. It's been truly amazing. I know we're going a little bit longer than normal, but that's okay. Just wanted to say gratitude. Just so grateful for all of you that continue to listen. For those that are listening to the recording as well, thank you for just being here and to be here with us on this journey as we continue to expand and grow in this podcast. All right, we got some hearts. Thank you, Diane. All right, so that brings us to the end of the Say Yes Movement podcast for 2023. Just remember, when you shift your mindset, you shift your life. Wishing you all a great one. Take care, everybody.